Here we go. I have started the recording. This is Design 350. It's our lecture for Tuesday, October 9th, and we are on Google Meet. Let's see what's up for the week. We're mostly going to be looking at sections. Even the work that we're doing on survey is going to be towards being able to draw sections. So we've done boundaries, we've done topographies. Those are both straight, flat down, looking at the ground. Now we're going to be cutting the ground and looking at what the surface is like using sections. And we're going to do both AutoCAD and Revit. So we've got the things to do. We've got our two lectures. Probably won't be recording labs because we're out doing a little bit of getting readings and things like that. And I think the lectures will be enough to get you through. But if you have questions about how to do something, then pop in on the lab at the beginning and we'll answer those questions before we go out and take any survey stuff. I do have a small bit in the playlist about how to use the survey equipment. In the past, our line of sight has always been level. We got everything perfectly level and things were excellent, and that way we knew that site was out level so that everywhere where we measured down to the ground would be the same amount. But now we've come across a situation where the ground is above my level line of sight. So I either have to move my station all over the place or tilt my theodolite so the line of sight is looking upwards. And that just induces one more thing that we have to figure out, but it can be done. And this is how to do it. And I'm going to demo that for you also. So you'll have it in a very straightforward cut down one and then one where I'm rambling on. There is no real reading list. There's the appointment calendar. There is some stuff in the resource file. There's a DWG that you can work with. There's a survey record that now looks new to be able to account for this angled line of sight and to be able to account for taking two back sights. Remember how we did that before? So this part here really could be grayed out if you want because it's not used. So here's where you get your back sight information so you can line things up and know what elevation your theodolite is at. And then these ones could all be blanked out if you wanted to, because you're going to record those over here. Distance, angle of your sight, and then there's an adjustment to be made. And this week, we're going to do that adjustment by drawing it in AutoCAD. Once you've got that down for a week, I'm going to show you a calculator for it, okay, that you can put in there. But you have to understand it before you can get that calculator right. And then you got the rod reading, the ground, and of course your azimuth. So this is sort of the final survey record that you're going to need. And this doesn't print out very well now. You have to print this out on an 11 by 17 sideways, blah, blah, blah. But that's okay. Okay, so that's in there for you. There's a site plan for you to use. And then there's all these theodolite readings that I'll go over once I've done my demo. Okay, so there's a lot of your work. I think this one will take you the longest amount of time, this one the next, and the Hamul will be the quickest and easiest. And I'm expecting maybe 5 to 10 minutes for each of these theodolite readings. And there's 8 of them, so an hour and a half. The rod readings, 15, 20 minutes for each. And there's 2 of them, so let's say another hour. And Hamul, maybe half an hour to get that one done. And maybe an hour if it's so. You've got 4 or 5 hours worth of work, but that's it. There's no reading this week. I'm just plowing you with these skill sets. Okay? And then you've got your submittal template to do. Okay? And your submittal template is basically, here's the theodolite readings. And you're going to do 8 of them, but I want you to put 3 of them in here. And again, you can put all 3 on here, or you can make a separate page for each one. Your rod readings, there's 2 of them to do, and the Hamul section views. I mean, really straightforward this time. Okay? Pretty, just get down, and we're just tying up those last parts before you can start in on your project work. And the Hamul is sort of starting project work now. That is our first project site, and so we'll be getting with that. Okay, so there we go. Let me go right into my demonstration now. So let me actually go back to that Jamboard. I'll go over this one more time. So this is what we've done in the past. We've got our theodolite set on a tripod, and we've leveled the theodolite reading to go straight to the rod. But now, because of the way that the ground is, our rod is above the level reading. So what do? I have to angle the rod. I have to angle the theodolite so that I get a rod reading. Okay? And so now I know that, let's say this was at 5 feet. All the way along here, I'm at 5 feet. So I hit 5 feet here. Now, there is some math or drawing that I can do to figure out, if I know this distance and I know this angle, I can figure out how far up I am from my 5 feet. And that's what I call my angled rise, or my angled sight adjustment. So I go over, and then I go up an amount that's based on the angle and the distance, and then I get my rod reading. And then if I come back down my rod reading, that is my ground elevation compared to where I am. Okay? So that's what I'm going to do now. That's my job. Let's see what this looks like. That's what this vertical thing is. So now, instead of being at 0 or 90, I'm at 93, which means that I'm up 3 degrees. Now, it's hard. You actually have to know which way, because if I flipped my theodolite 180 degrees, then I'd be down 3 degrees. It would be at 87. So you have to know whether it's up or not. So I know that it's up 3 degrees. And I know that my rod is 99.59 feet away. There's 100. So down here would be 99.5. And then if I zoom way in, that's about 0.9. 99.59. And I got my rod reading, which is about as close to 3 as I can get without being actually 3. So I called it 2.99. And for what we're going to do now, I don't need the azimuth reading. I'm just practicing elevation. So what will I do? I'll put myself, I'm just on my 0 layer. So I'm going to pretend that I'm at 0 and that my line of sight is up 5. And let's see if my units are in feet. My units are in feet. And so that's what I'm doing on all of these theodolite things. Height of my instrument is 5 feet. So that's what I just did. 5 feet. So now, if I have a straight line of sight for 99.59, and that's where my tape measure was. But I know, and I'll go 99 point. Actually, I can do any amount at an angle, shift angle of 3 degrees. Now that might go backwards depending on what my units say. I think my units are set for clockwise, so I'm going to have to put in -3. Now, if I draw straight up, you'll notice they don't quite hit because this one's at an angle. So I need to know, I'll do a fillet. That right there is that angled adjusted height. I know that when I read my rod, it's above the instrument height by 5.2193. That's kind of cool. Okay, and then if I go over just a little bit, just to get it out of the way, and go down, how much? 2.99. That was my rod reading. That elevation there, that's my height. That's my ground elevation, 7.2293. And you can do it all in model space if you want. You'll just have to make sure that that thing has a probably a bigger, come on. Text height. Where's my text height? Sometimes, this is why I like to use come on. There it is, text height. I'll make it more like 0.75. And then it says to put in some dimensions that make me know that you did it right. So definitely an angular dimension would be good. And this dimension would be good. And what else did I read? I read the length. Those would be things that I'd be interested in seeing. So I have a few of these that I need to make the text higher, bigger. There we go. And that's what you could put in your thing right here. Something like that. Okay. That 5 foot would have been a good one to put in there too. But just something that lets me know that I can look at this and figure out what, right? That the angle was right and things like that. I think I just did this one, so I could get rid of this. There we go.
And we would do that for each one, right?
Yep. Yep. You get
Okay.
lots of practice. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8 of them. So by the time you've done that, you've got a better feel for it. Okay. So there we go. That's exactly
Okay.
right. And so what does that take? The first one will take you half an hour. The next one, 25 minutes. The last one will probably take you 5 minutes. Because you'll be like, got it. And if you
right,
set
with
your
repetition.
yeah, and if you set your dim styles, or do it in do it in a paper space or something like that. But that'll be what you guys will do to get good. Cool. So this
Sounds good.
this is very common, right? It's like you gotta take a shot uphill. So that's how you do it. Okay, the next one is the rod readings. So let me close this one. And open the one called rod reading. I hope I've got it in here. Yep, there it is, right there. So yours should look something like this. And yes, you'll ignore the references. But what you've got is, I don't know if you remember that from DT 302, but there's a version of the Civi 67 drawing. Okay? And here's the thing, right? I don't know if these are really to scale, but I know that this direction is. If I do the distance command, nope, see that's not scaled properly. But that's okay because we're going to read the dimensions. And what I want to do is, this is a section, so I'm going to pretend that we had rods lined up right along that section. So you're going to come over to here and look at that and say, okay, here's my theodolite. That's the height. And I'm just going to start reading rods as I go. So what would my rod number 1 be? Okay, so the rod would be sitting on the ground right here. So it'd be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So my first rod reading would be 18, and my distance would be at 0. My next rod reading is, okay, each one of these is 10 feet. So my rod number 2 is at 10 feet. And what's my rod reading? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I'll estimate it at 15. And then when I get down to, say, rod number 5, 3, 4, 5, my distance, let's see, 10, 20, 30, 40, 45 feet. And you'll just do this all the way across, but now I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 27.5. Well, the problem, of course, is that I can't stand this far off the ground. Okay, so that's what I would need to do to get these readings over here. And that works if I've got some sort of a ladder or a platform, or, I've done something so that my theodolite is way the heck up off the ground while I am standing here. Now, granted, I could have maybe stood here and looked this way and looked this way, but now all of a sudden my rod's getting too tall. Okay, so if I'm standing, say, up here, maybe I'm standing here, and this is my line of sight going this way, I've still got an 18-foot rod. So it can be a little bit of a problem. So you'll go ahead and do all that. And now I'm going to go with a 4-degree angle and see what my rod reading is at. Okay, and again, I'm just taking distance and rod reading. I would have to do some calculations knowing that this was on a 4-degree angle. But now I'm at 2, 4, maybe 5.75. And at 10 feet, I'm at 2, 3.25 maybe. Okay? And so you'll just do your rod reading all the way like that. And it's just giving you the idea that I can take, there's no difference, right? The ground is the same. The rods are in the same place. Everything is the same, except I'm going to have to do a little bit of a calculation compared to my point right here. Right? I'm going to have to be adding some as I go. But that's going to be the job. You're going to just take these readings, and it's just counting 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 2.5, something like that. You're just going to count on each rod, and you're going to count on each rod. Cool? Well, that's the
Sounds good.
job. Yeah, piece of cake, right?
I'm sure it's going to take a lot of repetition and going back to the videos to learn it and everything. But I think like the more repetition and the more we do it and stuff, that it'll become a little easier.
Yeah, and this one's cool because it's just counting. It's just counting. You don't actually, on the other one, you have to measure. On this one, you're just counting the grids, right? And doing an estimate, 2, 4, 6, 8, almost 10, 9.5, 9.75. Okay? And that'll be cool. Okay, so there we go. So those are those two things. And then the last one to do is a Revit. And it will be the Hamul project. 350 week not. Uh-oh. Did I not save this thing? Okay, well, I can always get to it and download it, can't I? That's what this is all about. And we've got do you guys have two-factor authentication for students?
What do you mean?
Are they making you sign in from your phone now?
Yes. So I'm actually on my phone right now, and I was afraid I was going to be late to it. And it made me sign in to something, and then I exited out because it wanted you to do like a new account. And I tried to download it, and it wasn't taking me to the thing. And so then it just said, and then it just asked if I wanted them to send a code to my phone, and I said yes. So I was able to have them send a code to me, and that worked.
Yeah. Okay. So if you need help, get with, Learning Resource Center or tech support, because it really is actually important that we get this, everybody on two-factor authentication. They're really concerned because a lot of schools across the country are getting, ransomware attacks and things like that, and they're doing everything they can to help prevent that. You can't prevent it all the way, but you can do a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, that's interesting. Just going to ask me again. Wow, that was a long way to go to get to it. There we go. And now I can open that up. And so I think what I've asked for is one north-south elevation and one east-west section of the site. So, and I don't really, for now, I don't really care. You can go anywhere, right? The idea is that you're able to do it. And this is actually pretty close to the property. This is, I think I cut a little bit much out of it over here. And I cut some of this off, but this is pretty close to what the property looks like. So I just want to make sure that you guys remember how to make a section view. So if you don't, here's your reminder, or if this is your first time doing it, here's your training. So to make a new type of a view, you would go to View. And let's see if there's any sections. There are some sections in here already. And I don't know why they're, those should probably just be gone. Some building sections, don't know why those are in there. But I'm going to go back to my site plan. And I'm going to put in a view section. And I'll go east-west first. There's an east-west section. And I think I'll make it look the other way. And the farther I make it go back, the more background lines I get. So sometimes that's important. I'm going to bring this way in tight. So I just get, and I'm even going to miss that building. I'm going to move this a little bit. So that I have, I'm going to get just land. And that's good. And I could bring it right through here and I could remove it. And there's lots and lots of things that you can do. But now I've got a new section. So if I double click on it, there it is. And it looks a little funny. I can get it a little bit more here. 1 inch equals 20 feet. So I might want to maybe make it like 1 inch equals 50 feet. And you can kind of tell because that's when I look at how that earth is laid in there, that's going to look pretty good on a piece of paper. So that doesn't look too bad. I can bring my edges in if I want. Pretty nice. Like these levels are a little hard to see. So if I click on one, I can break, do that break sign. There we go. So sometimes you have to play around with these a little bit to get them to look a little better. So I can see what those are. I see this. See a little bit of something there that I'll go ahead and hide in the view. Now I'd like to have my ground look a little bit stronger. So if I right click on the ground, I can override the graphics on that element. And it's the projection line that I need. And so I usually make the projection line really dark. And then I play with the line weights until I get it to look right. Often in the 7 to 10 range looks pretty good. That's looking pretty good. And I might not even show this one if mostly what I'm interested in that one. I'm going to get it down where I don't know how to get my I don't know how to get that to the other side. There we go. That helped a little bit. There we go. So now I've got a little bit of stuff and I can see that I've got two building pads here. So I'll probably label those and then I'll want to label which side is east and which side is west. If I go back to my main view here, this is going to be my east side and this is going to be my north side. And I think, can I put some symbols in here? I thought I could put a symbol in here. Yeah, there's my north. So there's my north arrow. So that's north, south, east, west. So since I'm looking in this direction, on the right side is my east. So that's how I figure that out. So I'll probably put some stuff here. I don't need to see the little line around it, so I'll get rid of that. Probably put in some text. And let me make it, I'd like to make a new one, I think, that's an 8. So I think that sounds good. 1/8 inch. I could even do 3/16 if I needed to. And that means over here would be my west property line. And then that would make this my east building pad. And that would make this my west. And then the last thing is I would want to get some sort of an elevation. It's so weird. I am catching my elevation because it's catching those lines. Oh, I don't need the elevation lines because I've got these. Now, if I wanted to hide those, if I felt like it, then I could put a spot elevation here, but I need a line. It's so weird. You have to have a line on it. So that I can, if I don't like that, I can override that also. Let's see, those are on when I click on that. Targets. Here it is. Feet in fractional inches. And often to the nearest inch is good enough, or the nearest half inch for what we're doing. Maybe even go to the nearest quarter inch. Okay, and we would do the same thing here. And put a spot elevation. Doesn't line these up as nice as some of them do. Oh. There we go. So that's really what I'm interested in, is that you can make those lines. And I don't care if you put it on a sheet or not. We're playing around with this. I just want you to be able to create these, because as we start talking about our layouts, we're going to need this. We're going to absolutely need this to get some good information from. Okay, as you start doing your stuff. Okay, the other section, of course, will go the other way. And you can pick where you want it to go. I really don't care. I just want to know that you can make a section view. And let me show you how to. That one's going to be second. And you can rename this. This is my rename. This is my east-west section. And then this would be my north-south. And since I'm looking in this direction, this will be on the left. I'm standing over here looking. That'll be on the left. There it is. And now look, I can remove the things that I don't want to see. Now this, I would probably hide it too, because I really don't need to see that. Don't erase it, just hide it. And then you'll do the same stuff, right? This is my south. This is my north. And you can sort of see that from up here. South, north. And you would call this your, this is again going to keep that same name. It's your east building pad. Okay, so that's how you do it. And you can hide those. You can do all the same stuff that you just did. I just want to know that you can create, oops, it comes out down here, that you can create a reasonable section view to work with. We're gonna be putting all of this together in a week. All of the research you've done, all of this kind of stuff to put a proposal together. Cool. Okay, so that's what I've got. Any questions at this point? No discussion, no sims, no collaboration. You're just doing your own thing this time. Oh, let me do one other thing. And that would be, let's see if we have our theodolite readings uploaded yet. Yep. So here are readings that you can take. Okay, so that was a back site reading. Another back site reading. That one you have to put two of them together. So he's got the two back site readings in, which is kind of cool. And okay, that looks good. Well, that was right on 100 feet. That's amazing. Okay, so we'll be working with these and getting them set also. So there we go. Just checking to see if those are in there. You don't need them right now. We'll be working with those next week. Okay. Any questions as we finish up? Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and stop the